Hi, guys. This is the Working Money Podcast with host Michelle Wong and
Willie Morales.
And we have a great guest on our show. Her name is Linda Pliagas, and she is owner and publisher of Realty 411. Hi, Linda. How are you?
Great, Michelle. Hi, Willie. How are you?
Hi. How's it going, Linda?
Oh, everything's great. Sunny in California, like usual.
Well, we're jealous because it's probably 85 degrees over there now?
Just about. It's a nice 75 degrees, so we're enjoying it.
Oh, that's good.
So, Linda, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Well, I'm the publisher of Realty 411 magazine. Our alternate Realty 411 cover is Real Estate Wealth. In addition to the print publication, we also have an online monthly resource called REI Wealth Monthly. So my mission and our mission here at Realty 411 is to enhance real estate education about investing in real estate, and just let more people know about all the benefits that go along with real estate investing and help them reach the financial freedom that so many people are seeking.
Oh, okay. That sounds wonderful. And, so how did you get into real estate?
Yes, I've always been interested and fascinated with real estate, even when I was much younger as a teenager. One of the ways that real estate impacted my life at a young age is when I was 15 years old. Unfortunately, we went through some hard financial times, and my parents lost their home. Which, really impacted me at a very young age. And since then, I became really interested and kind of fascinated with real estate, simply because I knew that, when I grow up, I want to be in a position that no one's ever going to take my home away from me. So I always wanted to, empower myself with the knowledge of what real estate was and what it's all about. And once I got married, my husband's family, they're very active real estate investors. They own a lot of apartment buildings. They own shopping centers. They own a lot of properties here in Southern California. And I became involved and entrenched into their world. And I started to really love and have a passion for real estate and wanted to learn as much as I could about it. And I saw that, they were successful, and they always, told me it's not how much you make, it's how you invest your money. So I noticed that, whenever they had extra money, they would invest it in real estate. And they also made real estate a very important aspect of their life. For example, even before they acquired their own personal home, they invested their money into a multifamily property and lived in one of the units. So they were actually living in one of their apartments in the real estate that they own, even before they purchased their own home. So that's how important, real estate was and is to our family.
So, I'm just amazed that at that young of an age, you had interest in real estate, because usually at that age, 15 to 20, 21, 22, most people just want to hang out. But you had that passion already because you saw what your family went through, right?
Yes, absolutely. And then I was in media at that time. And, I've always loved media too. It's been my passion since I was a little girl. But media doesn't really pay a lot of money. I mean, journalists, they really have a passion for writing and storytelling, but they don't really get paid a lot of money. So I knew that if I wanted to work in the media, I would probably have to find another way to really, make it to be financially free. And that's when I decided to try and incorporate the real estate into my media business and, my life. Just as I would see my other relatives do it. And when I started in real estate, I literally started from the bottom up. I mean, from the very bottom. I was a broker's assistant, and that's how I started in real estate. So I went from publishing a national I went from publishing a national magazine for Latina women called Que Linda, and featuring J-Lo on the cover and Selma Hayek, and going to red carpet events. I went from that to getting coffee and running errands for my broker, because after my first magazine ended, that's when I got into real estate. So I actually had to humble myself and go from being a publisher of a national magazine to being an assistant for a broker and doing the dirty work. But I was so motivated to learn that I didn't care about having to start at the bottom. And I'm glad that I did, because if you really want to learn a business, I recommend that you do start at the floor level and learn every aspect of that business that you can, so that you can be successful. And I was an assistant to a broker who's a good friend of mine, Hector Padilla. And he is a broker still in Los Angeles. He's purchased $77 million worth of real estate at this point, and he was actually younger than me. And I was his assistant for a year, and he still is very savvy investor, and he taught me a lot. So I owe a lot to him as well, for being where I am today.
And when you have a passion for something, you don't care about anything else. You don't care about what kind of money you're going to be making or anything, because that falls into place after.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. And I think if you want to be successful in anything, I think that's exactly it. Don't worry about the money first. The money will come, because when you're the best at what you do, regardless of what it is, the money will come, because the money follows the successful people and the leaders of the industry. So just focus on being a leader, being successful, and being the best that you can be. And, the money will definitely follow after.
This question is because of the fact that you're a woman entrepreneur, and you're also Latina.
Yeah.
How is that how's that impacted you in a sense of being a role model for other women? What I mean by that is, there's so many other women out there that are reluctant to pursue business, because right now we're at an advantage where there are opportunities for women and minorities to get into business and actually going out and doing so. And I just wanted to get your take on that. Like, what is your perspective?
It's one of the reasons why I'm in the business, really. It's to represent. I think it's extremely important as a woman, as a Latina, to represent. And it fuels me every day. It is a reason why I remain in the industry, because I'm going to be honest with you. It's a really tough industry to be in. It's a male-dominated industry, and I've had a lot of situations where I could, tell that I was creating maybe a little bit like jealousy from other people, or maybe they weren't accepting of me. That's one of the reasons why I started doing my own events, because I said to myself, well, I'm spending all this money and energy coming to other people's events for what? So I could be treated like dirt? I'm like, no, I'm not. Forget that. I'm going to do my own events, and I'm going to make sure that all women and all people of color feel welcomed at our events. And I'm going to make sure that, no woman ever has to deal with attitudes and aggressive behavior like this, because, we all come to learn and we all come to network, and it's inappropriate to treat people disrespectfully just because they may look different than you. So it's not right. And, but, there's a lot of that, that goes on in the business world, not just in real estate. So it is important as professional business women and as minorities in the business realm to speak up and to let people know that, I'm successful. I'm here to learn. I'm here to help others. And, I'm not a threat. I'm just like you, and I belong in this country just like you, and I'm a proud American, and I want to do my part to keep moving us forward.
Mhm. No, I totally agree. It is a male dominated business, and I'm very glad that in the past couple of years I've noticed more women coming into the business and being a little bit more, I wouldn't say aggressive, but being more assertive and standing their ground with the business, which I totally I'm loving it. And the other thing too is that I see more minorities. I see people of all color now getting more involved in that. In fact, one of the reasons why we started a real estate company, because Willie has his one will. We also have another company called the Wim Group, and we are minority owned. We like to represent and show that, hey, we're open to working with everybody. We don't restrict. We're always our mentality is always to be positive and also to have a win-win situation where everybody walks away benefiting something out of what we're doing, working together, collaborating. And that's always been my thing. I always make connections, even if it's not something that I am going to benefit directly. But if I can make a connection with someone, then I know that they're reaching out and saying, hey, I need help in trying to do this to get my business going. I would do whatever I can to make that happen for them and connect them to the right people so that they can, move forward with what they're doing. And the other thing is that due to the fact that there's so many women in all types of industry, and they're great role models and they have impacted our society. I'm actually putting together a women's event in September. And one of the things that I'm doing is I'm speaking to individual women that are in various industries that I personally know. And I tell them, hey, I'm having this event. And two things that I want to, the reason why I'm doing this. One is I want to show other women that have reservations of getting into some type of business, or if they have a dream of starting a company and they might not think that they're either that they don't have what it takes to do it, or maybe they have some kind of insecurity and they're not too confident to do it, or whatever the case is. But I want to show them, hey, there's some people that are in that industry that you want to get into, and look what they're doing, and look at the positive impact that they're giving to all of us. And and that was one of the reasons why I started this is for that reason. And the other thing too is that, not to discriminate or anything like that, but women in general, we can do the same thing that men can too. We have the ability and we have the capability of doing the same thing that a man does, in the same business, and it doesn't have to be competitive.
Right. So yeah, it's just very important. And I do agree that things are changing. When I first started the magazine in 2007, there would be events where I would be like one of just a handful of women at an event. And, the events that I would go to, there just weren't a lot of women. And now I am seeing a lot more women. One of the things about our events that make them drastically different than the other real estate events that are out there is there's a lot of women that come to our events. Willie, you saw the event that we did in New York with Teresa Martin.
Yeah,
I would say there were like 50% women, 50% men at the event. And, at the events that we do, there's a pretty equal balance between the genders. When I first got into the business, that wasn't the case. There was just a handful of us. So things are changing.
Linda, I wanted to talk to you about, I want to get into the real estate side of it in a bit, but since Michelle was talking about setting up her event, what was the steps that you did to set up your event? Like, where did you go to get the venue? Can you say like maybe a 5-step plan on how to get your event?
Sure, absolutely. Yes, number one, the venue is the most important. And once you start doing a lot of events, you're going to learn, which venues are more affordable and which ones give you the best deal. And you're going to start meeting, the directors of the hotels and such. So I would just get a quote on maybe, 3 different hotels and see which one is the most competitive. And then number 2, you want to do an event landing page. You want to promote the event, on social media, email marketing. If you have a budget, of course, try and do maybe some online ads or print ads or some sort of, marketing. And that's really it. Try and have incentives for people to come to the event. Say, the first 100 people or the first 50 people, no charge for them. And then if you have to charge people, say, after the 50, then we're going to start charging. But if you get in early, you can come in at no charge or at a discount. The most important thing is marketing. I mean, if you want your event to be successful, marketing is crucial, and you have to just spread the word as much as possible. And I always recommend having a marketing budget, because if you do spend money to market your event and get the word out, it will come back. So it's important to set aside a budget to do proper marketing of an event, because you could have the most wonderful speakers and the most dynamic people coming to the event, but if you don't get the word out, nobody's going to know about it and it won't be successful. So marketing is very important.
That's good to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Linda, I had a couple of years ago, before I met you at Teresa's event, the magazine, the 411 magazine, and the article said that you invested outside of California. And if you do, can you give us a little process of what you went through to invest outside of California? Did you set up a team? Did you go to the city? How did you do that, since you basically live in California, but your properties are out of state?
Good question. And I still actively have properties out of state, and I've invested in 4 other states besides California. I had multifamily properties in Arizona. I still have multifamily property in Texas and also New Mexico and Louisiana. So I've been, I've traveled to many different places to invest in real estate. Number one, the most crucial and the most important, always, always, always see the property before you buy it.
Wait a minute, so you're saying that there's a chance you might like dirt?
I mean, you'll be amazed at how many people come up to me at events to tell me, Linda, I'm in big trouble. I bought this and it's not performing. And the first question I ask is, did you go see the property before you buy it? So many people say, no, I just bought it sight unseen.
So wait a minute, Linda, so you don't believe in virtual real estate?
No, not unless you want to lose your money.
No, but say the steps, because this is important, because this is stuff that, in fact, I heard something today where somebody was talking about virtual wholesaling and all that. And I'm like, I get queasy when I hear stuff like that.
Well, I'm not saying you can't wholesale, because when you wholesale, it's not like you're going to own the property. But
Okay, but
if
if
you're
you're buying
actually,
home.
but if you're going to do a buy and hold, and you're going to be, managing that property and owning it long term, you better invest the $500 to get there and look at that property before you buy it. Otherwise, you could be in for a big disaster. There are some properties that I wouldn't even want. Even if you gave it to me, I wouldn't want it. Why is that? Because real estate can be a liability, a big liability, if it's not the right investment. If it's a, a beat up old home in a gang infested, terrible, drug infested neighborhood, why on earth would you want to buy that and own it? Even if you do a rehab, it's going to be impossible to keep tenants in. If it's ever vacant, they're going to strip the property and take all the copper, the AC. I mean, things like this happen, folks. And guess what? It's happened to my friends. It's happened to my friends and associates.
Right.
So you got to see the property.
Yeah, you say go see the property, check out the neighborhood.
Get a team. Right. You cannot manage a property long distance. Sure. Well, let me rephrase that. You can, because I actually, again,
you're doing it.
People who do that. No, I know people who do that. Me, I don't do that. I have a property manager. And when I go, before I buy the property, this is how I did it. Before I bought the property, I went there to see the property. When I was there, I met at least 3 property managers, 3 of them. That way you can interview them and you can see which one is going to be the best. I would go to their office. Don't meet them at Dunkin' Donuts. Don't meet them at Denny's. Go to their office so you can see what type of operation they're running and ask them questions, ask them their credentials. The property manager will make or break you. It really will. I mean, it's that important. They are the most crucial link of your real estate investment portfolio, especially if it's far away. So I definitely would go see the property, meet some property managers, interview them in person, do your background on the area. You know what I did before I bought anything? I called the police department and I said, hello, Officer Jones, this is Linda Pliagas from California. I'm considering investing in your city, and I have a property at this address. I was wondering, can you tell me if that's a decent area or not? You would be surprised. They're there to protect and to serve, and guess what? They do serve you. Call the police department. Tell them where you're thinking of buying your property and ask them, is that a good neighborhood or not? I just go like this, say, I don't want to buy in a drug infested neighborhood. I want to make sure that I'm in an okay area. What do you think? And guess what? They're going to tell you. They're going to say, oh, stay away from that neighborhood. Or they're going to be like, oh, that's a good area. I live a few blocks down the street, a few blocks away. I actually had a police officer once that told me, that's actually a good area. I live around the corner. There you go. I mean, you can find out information by just simply asking questions. And most people are going to be very happy to help you.
Wow. Well, it is true because I went to a seminar a couple of years back, and who was one of the guest speakers was Robin Thompson. And she was the one that mentored Than Merle, the one from Fortune Builders.
Yeah.
But she mentioned that when you're looking for places out of state, go and check the place out. Also have your team in place. She also mentioned that, and try to speak to neighbors, or like you said, also talk to law enforcement.
Yes.
I'm glad that you mentioned to go and take a look at the physical property, because some of the gurus that are out there, or some of these companies that try to teach real estate, and I'm not knocking them for it, but they have a philosophy where they say that you can go and you can invest anywhere, and it's a turnkey. Like you just go do it. You can do the transaction through emails, and you don't really have to look at the property. And for Willie and I, we were looking at each other and saying, how can you go and say that to someone
Right.
who might be starting out and are trying to get more familiar with the business, and think that they can just go invest blindly? You don't know what can happen. I mean, even on these TV shows, I've seen how they go and they invest in a property to fix it and flip it and sell it out. And even when they they go to these auctions or whatever the case may be, and once they go in, they are completely stunned about how much work has to be put in, or the damages that are left behind. So for you to go in blindly without really taking a look at the property, that's absurd. That's absurd. And we say it all the time to our listeners. Say, if you're going to go into something, you have to check the place out. And I'm glad that you justified what we were saying before, that.
Yeah, and the thing is, Linda, hearing it from you, who's a professional investor, to me that validates what me and Michelle want to hear. So that's why I wanted to ask that question, because I remember reading that article a couple of years ago, and you went to see it, and the police department. Somebody else told me that, but I completely forgot about this. That's a great point. How about calling the police department before you go out there, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I would never buy a property sight unseen. I've seen too many people get hurt in the industry by doing it that way. And I think the gurus that tout that, I think they're doing a dire disservice to the profession and the industry. I think they're going to lead people to get hurt and to lose money. And, real estate is easy, but it's not that easy where you can just, virtually become a millionaire. I mean, everything in life that's worth something takes effort, including real estate investing. And why on earth would you not want to go see the property before you buy it? That's the biggest joy, is to see the property that you're going to be buying, and to touch it and feel it and see it and walk the neighborhood and look at it and say, oh my God, this is going to be mine. I mean, that's part of the joy of investing. And if you're at a point where you don't get excited about it anymore, then maybe you shouldn't be doing it anymore, because that's, to me, the joy of buying a property and investing. Now, I know that in a lot of large companies, when they buy tapes, maybe they're not going to see all the properties and such. Maybe institutional investors may not walk every single property they purchase, but you're not there. You are a personal real estate investor. So until you get to that level where you have billions of dollars in in your, investment fund, you have to be very careful and you have to invest wisely. And one of the ways to do that is to be right there in the trenches and see what you're going to be buying and meet the people that are going to be helping you. Because when you meet in person, you're going to get a sense of who that person is and how they run their business. And that's crucial in real estate, because intuition is very important in this business and in all businesses.
Some of these companies as well, these real estate gurus or real estate and investment, they have these companies. They try to sell courses.
Yeah.
And the thing with that is that's great in theory, but the thing is that you have to apply in order for you to gain experience. And one of the things that we have also mentioned in the past and we frown upon is if you have people that are starting out or possibly that they have started, but they're trying to expand and they're trying to, build up their portfolio.
Yeah.
You won't be able to do that and without having the experience. So what I mean by that is they sell these courses and they sell it at a ridiculous price, 15, 20, 30,000 or even more.
Yeah.
And you have all of this, all of these materials, these resources, but it's not like there's also something for them to also get their feet wet because they have no clue of where to start. And and they don't have that someone to mentor them per se, kind of like give them the resources that they need, but also get them where they can, they have someone to guide them and
Right.
get into their first property and investment. And that was one of the issues that we've also have encountered. Not, even personally for us, we've encountered that. And we, when we question it and we say, how is it that for that amount of money that you're putting into, into these books or CDs or whatever,
Yes.
you can take that money and actually put it into an actual investment. So
Right.
why not have something in between where they can get the education that they need, but also apply that knowledge that they're getting to, to get that into a physical investment property. And that was, that's one of the things that we're always talking about. It's like, I can't understand for the life of me how they want to charge people for that, but yet how are they going to apply it and the money that they spent on it and not put it on, into a physical property.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Well, I mean, we do sell education at some of our events. We don't sell the 40, 30,000, 20,000 packages. We do sell maybe like the $9.95 boot camp. Education is important.
No, we definitely agree there. Yeah.
However, I mean, a lot of the gurus, I do know of one guru that's charging over $100,000 to be a mentor. And when I heard that, I was like, $100,000? That's wild. I mean, that type of figure is astronomical. I will say this because, there's a plus and minus for everything. My mentor, the broker that I assisted, he will be the first one to say, I have invested over $200,000 in my education, but I've closed $77 million worth of real estate. So for him, it worked. Yeah, for him, it worked. And he's trained with everybody. He was trained with Ron LeGrand. He was in his, private jet coaching program where he would fly all over the country on his private jet with him for $50,000. And he studied with Robert Sheeman, with, all the greats, Robert Allen. I mean, we're talking everybody. But he got his money back so many times over. And I think what it boils down to is the application. A
Yeah.
lot of people will buy the education, but then they won't do anything with it. It'll just sit on their, on their shelf, and a lot of people won't even open it, or, they don't apply it. I would recommend don't buy any education unless you have the time to really study it. And if you're going to invest $1,000 or $1,500 in education, make sure that you have the time and set time aside to really learn the program. Don't blame the guru if you're not successful, if you're not going to, open it up and study. It's like everything else. If you want good grades in school, you have to study. If you want to get everything out of the education that you were promised, you also have to do your part by, reading and studying and so forth. I do encourage people, when they do buy education, make sure that, they can have access to that mentor. That way, if they do pay a lot of money or whatever, at least they're going to have that hands-on help that they need. And at least they're going to be able to get access to a mentor, someone that can assist them. That's really important because questions do come up. And, if you do want to buy a program or whatever, just make sure that there's someone that's going to be there to help you after, you study and once the questions come up.
No, good point. Good point.
Yeah. And I have taken courses myself. I'm not going to say I haven't invested in my education. I have taken courses. I've never purchased a $10,000 course or a $20,000 or a $40,000 package. I've never done that. But I have, purchased $1,000 boot camp, and I've gone to boot camps, and I have gotten a lot of out of it. And I think that, all the education I have had throughout the years has propelled me to where I am today. So, in that sense, it was a worthwhile investment, but everyone's different, and you have to know what your budget is, what your goals are, and what your time limitations are. Sometimes I see people buying 2 and 3 courses on the same day, and it's like, wait, you just bought his course and now you're going to buy someone else's course. It's like, do you even have that much time in the day to learn and apply all the things you're going to read about? I would recommend don't buy multiple courses. Do your research, find a mentor, take that particular course, and before you take any other courses or invest any more money, make sure that you learn and apply what you learn, what they taught you before you make any other investments. And that's why we do have a lot of free events, and other companies charge, sometimes hundreds of dollars for the same information. And a lot of people do ask me, like, well, Linda, why do you make them free? You can make money and pay for the venue and stuff if you charge. And, you can even make more profit that way if you charge. But you know what, Michelle, one of the reasons I got into the industry besides, to represent, was because in my heart, I really wanted to try and help others. And I feel so blessed to be where I am that, that's, one of the reasons that we don't charge for our events. And I'm really proud to be able to do that. And I agree with you that a lot of gurus are really taking advantage, and they're charging way too much money for information that people can have access to at a, for less. But what can I say? I mean, that's just the nature of some people in the industry. That's just a lot of speakers do make a lot of money from being in this industry. And, and like I said, some people don't, some people may not do anything with it, and they could potentially lose all their money. Other people, like my mentor, Hector Padilla, he made it happen, even though he spent over $200,000 in his education. But he, he made it happen and is making it happen. And he's still spending money on his education because his mentor this year is Dan Penna, and he spent $20,000 to train with him for 1 week in his castle in Scotland.
Wow.
And then he has 1 year of coaching calls with him. So, he just recently dropped 20 grand for a week with his mentor. And so, it just, I guess everyone has a different experience. And again, it boils back down to your desire, motivation, your time, and whether, you do have the time and the motivation to learn what you invested in.
Okay. Yeah, and that's a great point. I do have 2 more questions.
Sure.
One of them is obviously throughout the years you have certain experiences. What do you recall has been one of your memorable pitfalls, and what has been a highlight?
Oh my gosh. Well, the pitfalls, I would say, in this business, are you speaking in terms of the real estate or more like my magazine, my media business?
I would say overall.
Overall?
Overall.
I think one of the pitfalls has been trying to be taken, seriously in the industry. When I started it, I was 39 years old and I looked much younger. People thought I was, 28 or whatever, because I looked young when I started the magazine. So it was really difficult for me in the beginning to get that respect and recognition that I needed in order to make it in the industry and in the business. So I would actually tell people that I was the co-publisher and not the publisher, because a few times when I would go to industry events or meet successful people in the business and I would introduce myself as a publisher, like I could see in their face like, oh, come on, you expect me to believe that? Like nobody believed me. So I was like, okay, I'm going to tell people I'm the co-publisher, and then, maybe they'll believe me more that way. So I think that was one of the pitfalls, and it continues to be a pitfall. It's not an easy business to be in. We continually have to seek out sponsors and, people who want to advertise in our magazine, sponsor our events. There's a lot of competition. So I guess the pitfall would be every time we lose a client, or every time a client says, we don't want to advertise or we don't want to sponsor anymore, that is a pitfall for me, because we really need the support of the REI community in order to continue to do what we do and continue with our mission of providing complimentary real estate education to as many people as possible. And one of the highlights has been the fact that I'm still in business after all these years. This is our 10th year in business. It's my, let's see, how many years of being a landlord? 25 years of being a landlord and 10 years of being a publisher. And I'm going to say that's the highlight. It's just still being in the game, still being in the industry, still collecting rent checks. I had a lot of problems with tenants in the beginning when I was young as well, for the same reason. There was a lack of respect because of my age and my gender. And, that was difficult to deal with too, trying to collect rent from people who were twice your age. That wasn't easy when I started, and they let me know it too. But still, I'm still in the game and still in the business, and that's the highlight. And I still plan on continuing, and that's the highlight. It's just the future, what the future holds. Now, I just contracted 4 celebrities from HGTV, the Home and Garden Television Network, to speak at our events.
I saw that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I saw the advertisement for it, and I was like, wow.
yes, that's a big accomplishment, and I'm so proud of being able to do that. And
Congratulations.
Yeah, no, congratulations. I mean, you're really. I would love to have you at the event, at my event. That would be.
I'd love to be there too. That would be wonderful.
But yeah, I get a lot of your emails, and I see that you do these expos in various states, and and there are times that I see, and it's in California. Like I think it was just a couple of weeks back that you mentioned Santa Barbara, and I was just there in January, and I really enjoyed it, and I saw a lot of openings in real estate there, developments, and there were commercial properties that were up for sale. So I said, this is a great opportunity for me to come back because I see a lot of things going on in the market. Yeah. And and when I see that, and I see your expos, I was like, I wish I was there traveling to California, because California for me is a great interest, and Nevada as well is one of the other places that I also found some interest in. Well, Linda, for our listeners, where can they find you?
Sure. We have several different websites. Our original website is realty411guide.com. That's realty411guide.com. Recently, we also launched realty411magazine.com, as well as realty411expo.com. So they can get more information about our events and our publications, as well as our podcast and other webinars and other educational things that we put together on our website.
Okay. And Willie, for our listeners, where can they find us?
Well, you guys can find us on facebook.com/workyourmoney. Please, always like our page. Also, you can find us on iTunes by going to itunes.com. Find us on Work Your Money. Please subscribe and leave a review. We could always use the review.
And
Stitcher. Don't forget Stitcher.
Yeah, we just had Stitcher and Patreon. Patreon they can find us at Patreon at Work Your Money podcast. And basically, if anybody wants to support and donate, to grow our podcast, that will be greatly appreciated. Linda, again, thank you for being on our show.
Linda, thank you so much.
Thank you, Willie. Thank you so much.